It's been quite an eventful week and a week of many, many things happening. Your taxes have gone up, many things, kimewaramba. Anyway, this is the biggest show, the show that brings you everything you want to know in the week. It's Let's Be Real. I'm your host, CEO Charles Otieno, alongside a bevy of superstars.
That's what you call us nowadays.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess it's me to do the introduction.
Yes.
So I'm Dr. C, founder of Samantha's Bridal and Samantha Wines. So I became a winemaker last year. And just to remind people that, did you know the first miracle Jesus performed was to turn water into wine?
Cheers.
So you know what? Sometimes you're praying for miracles, yeah? Times are hard, but
The miracle of Cana.
yes, but the wine sometimes can help you feel actually better. So grab a bottle of Samantha wine
Yes.
and relax for the evening or for the day. Jesus is miracle. That is Jesus' order.
Wow, the miracle.
Yeah.
I am Maria. I am the founder of the Young Magazine and also the author of the book Marriage is a Scam and Love the Original You, a fitness enthusiast nowadays. I can't say that enough. I love fitness, and thank you so much for having me again on Let's Be Real.
Oh, okay. Marriage is a scam. Very interesting. Anyway, for me, I'm Sam. It says I'm a content creator. I make content that makes you smile and think. And you, as a business person, you don't know what kind of content you need to make for your business? That's me. Find me, you find business. That's what it is. Yes, indeed.
So let's dig into the business of the day. Simon. 1 year ago, President William Samoei Ruto, his other name actually is Kipchirchir.
That's new.
Keep chit.
Yes, his name is William Kipchirchir Samoei Ruto, was sworn in as the President of the Republic of Kenya, the 5th.
Hey, it's been a long year.
After the fracas at Bomas and all that and everything, and his yellow fever. You remember the UD and the yellow fever?
Yes.
Everywhere it was so much yellow fever and the hustler nation and the narrative. Then eventually, now, the dust has settled. Kenyans are here. It is time to rate the new president, the 5th, on his performance and the performance of his government. I don't know what you guys think.
You want to start this before I go?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Is this where we say hi, Daddy?
But genuinely, when it comes to even the energy that even he came in,
Yes.
first of all, he came in with that, let's give him time, give
Yes.
us time,
Yes.
that mantra.
Yes.
Like we have a lot of issues, and we came in, our coffers were empty. You had that, had that story, right?
Yes, yes.
And then now, a year later, that patience is now out. We're now looking back and saying, we could honestly say he's done very good PR. Okay?
Yeah.
I can see the message he's trying to say, like, he's trying to do a lot of PR restructuring, saying that the government is doing this. Like, we are only raising your taxes for this. We're trying to do all this. We're going to drive a little e-car around to show that we're trying to be the president of Africa. With, a lot of PR showing that I'm not only, like, president of Kenya, but I'm also a leader globally.
Yes.
Because there's also a different president than the Kenyans know, than the world outside there knows, by the way. The perception that he has even outside there is that he's unifying Africa and he's trying to be a global leader now with the unifying of Africa. But in Kenya, hey, he's the guy that's adding so much taxes, we cannot even get a break. So that even as Kenyans, we can all say we have a great deal of frustration, especially because we quote unquote gave him some mental time. But right now, the next second year coming in, I swear Kenyans are frustrated. And when? Watch out, because now things might start taking a different turn of things because Kenyans are frustrated in many ways.
Did you actually sleep? Did you actually sleep and wake up to
Yes!
fuels going up?
Hey, where?
It actually happened at night. For me, I got the news at night, then I'm like, okay, they're overworking, so they work overtime too, I think. But to be honest, everything we expected more like we are still holding on to the patience. But I feel like the taxes that have already been increased could have done something to calm us down. Like, they've already increased so much of taxes. So why can't just one thing come down? Instead of that, you're still going high, 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 high. Like, fuel now going high means that me as a service provider, I will not sell my products the same because I need to travel. Or I need to, the matatus will not charge me the same if I decide to leave my car at home. So everything is still going high, high, high. And we are here saying that he has good PR and we have patience, but
That patience is not there.
it's not there. It's not there. It's really not there. It's time that we see the change. And seeing that everyone in Kenya, okay, when people were voting, they were all saying that Hustler's life will change. And I would wish to have an interview with at least 6 or 7 to tell me, how is your life changed, so that I can at least have the faith that they had, or they have right now.
How has your life changed?
For me, I can tell you something that I know for sure in the history of the world as we know it, and the economy, the world economy as we know it, nobody has ever taxed themselves into economic prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If anything, you tax yourself into this entropy, if you know what that means. Like, everything just becomes chaos. Yeah? But that said, I think so that, you know, the president, he's with the regime and all that. So I can just say that Kenyans have gotten character development. You know, we've always voted against personalities. We've voted on tribe. We voted on these things. And now we know, studies have come up. There's a report I saw in one of the dailies that most of the state jobs and most of the big organizations are just going to 2 tribes. But the whole point is that we all are living in this country. When we go to the fuel pump, yes, some tribes may have more people unemployed. But what am I saying? As an employer, I'm not cushioning nobody. Tax today, I pay tax. So that tomorrow when you go on that ballot box, you know where it hurts. There's nothing like who is being, no. Let us just all get this character development. So the first 1 year, if Kenyans know what character development is, you need a lesson in actually looking at who you're voting for, what are their promises, and holding them accountable. I think you've been given a lesson in that.
What grade did you give him?
Eh?
What grade? Let's say a grade. What grade did you give?
I'm tired. I cannot even give a grade. I don't want to. I'm so. Let me tell you, I'm so frustrated.
Yeah.
You wake up every day. There's something, this, something, that coming, and you're like, is there something else going on that we don't know? Somebody needs to tell us. We will be more understanding. If I was the president today, I wouldn't grade him per se, but if I was the president today, I would go and just lay my cards on the table. Kenyans, this is it. This and this and this is what is happening. Then we would know. Even if we scream, we cry, whatever, I feel there's something going on that we, ordinary folks on the street, we don't know, and we are being so... I personally am feeling very resentful. But if I was told the truth of what's going on, I feel alongside other Kenyans,
You'll be able to understand.
maybe we would understand and we would brave this. At this point, I just feel exploited. And you know, I'm an employer. Can you imagine there are very few Kenyans who are employed and on a pay slip. I feel, you know, they are just being whipped like a donkey, One day they'll just become recumbent. They'll not wake up. Because why do you need even that pay slip when there's nothing on it?
When there's nothing on it, but either the
Yeah.
payslip part, there's nothing.
It's
Like the
out of
payslip
order.
is really empty right now.
Yes.
And the more we go, the more they're increasing everything.
Yeah.
And right now, since the payslip is like that, you're going to survive on negative, because now even if I'm providing food, I have to transport it with the high fuel. So what do? I need to increase the prices. This is someone who has nothing in their payslip, who is going to buy food expensive, and that's a basic need. It's okay. There's no grade, to be honest.
You don't give him a grade?
Okay, there's no grade.
It's a waste of time.
I mean,
There's no grade. Maybe a supplementary but
He needs to receive that
to
exam.
receive that exam. But then he promised a lot. No, the promises
So
were
he
too
needs to
much.
go back and redo
And
it.
let me tell you, funny enough, the problems with us. You will see after that we will go to the ballot box and give him again. I'm waiting for
No,
Kenyans.
Kenyans
actually.
have character development.
I
unless
hope
it's a
so.
rigging.
I hope
guys,
so.
Guys, I think we are handling two topics at the same time.
Exactly, same
So,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
let's we'll come into tax
Yes.
and how Kenyans are heavily taxed. But the president, when you look at 1 year, maybe what I would say is that he promised so much. It's like wooing a girl and you are living in a grass-thatched house and you say you live in a mansion. Then you say you have piped water in your house, you have gas, but you cook with firewood, and you cook with, you fetch water from the river. But you've told this girl that, remember, this girl is from a very remote village, and you say, come to Nairobi. In Nairobi, I own a house. You will never go to the river. You will never fetch firewood. When the woman comes, and that's what President Ruto promised the hustlers. The hustler narrative was that he will reduce, number one, the cost of living. That is what he sold. Number two, he said, after reducing the cost of living, he said the dollar will come back to 120. The dollar is sprinting past 153 shillings today. He said that we will reduce the cost of subsidies, that subsidies is a waste of time. We will cushion production. So now, it means that the previous regimes, and remember that all our regimes, every economy operates in a special environment. The African economies basically operate in where they do a lot of subsidies, because remember, every Kenyan, the majority of Kenyans live by less than $1 a day. The poor ones, less than $1 a day, that's what they have. A whole day is less than $1. So these characters, you expect them to eat, live, pay rent without $1, less than
school
$1,
fees,
and
school
school
fees.
fees. So now, and you tell them that we will be able to support you, supplement you, and then you come in later, you realize the reality is that you move to the West, and all our economies, and I always say in 1 year, it's always good to compare presidents. In the first year of 2002, the IMF and World Bank asked President Kibaki not to give free primary education. What did Kibaki do? Kibaki refused. He told them that in Africa, we need an educated society. So the World Bank said, and IMF, we will not give you money. He said, well and good. Kibaki faced east. Kibaki launched universal free primary education. By the 4th year, the World Bank and IMF came back and said, I think it's a great idea. The thing they had refused. So now, if you're a president of a Republic of Kenya and you follow what IMF is telling you, then, and you do not look at the economic spaces, how we operate, we are very special people. The way we do our businesses is totally different from any other country, the way they do their businesses. The way Africans take care of their families, one person is employed, but he's supporting 100 people.
Yeah.
It is not one person supporting one person. So when you tax him, he's still being taxed by that black tax we've talked about. So it is that. And then let me move to Uhuru. Uhuru Kenyatta, as the 4th president, government, continued on what was Kibaki's government. Still faced the East. We had a lot of concessions from the Chinese loans. We had a lot of syndicated loans. But now we have a president who is facing what we call that IMF and all that. And then the premise when you say that your economy is already battered and you're trying to look for money from IMF, it is where we have a problem. So his performance vis-a-vis the growth, and remember we are from COVID years, the impact of COVID is always felt a year or two later. So that's what is really, really affects
What grade
me.
would you give
Yes,
it?
CEO, are you looking for a position in this government?
I
or what?
feel like so.
No.
I really feel like
Anyway,
What
I
grade
see
would
the
you give it,
producer.
being honest?
so. Which grade?
Yeah, be honest.
What grade are you giving
What's the
before we
grade?
move on to
What's
the
the
next?
grade?
I'm about to move on to the next.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying that the president has inherited a very difficult situation, but he has not
Why
helped
can't he
himself.
just tell us?
He has not helped himself
Yeah.
by the number of people he's put in the ministries. Some of them are incompetent, some of them are incorrigibly corrupt, and the 10% is now official in the government circles.
Yeah, so we're not giving the president a grade?
I would give him a below grade, so let me just keep my
Let's not
remarks.
even rate.
Yeah.
There's no.
He's
Anyway,
doing the supplementary.
we need to talk about Nairobi.
Oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
Gosh, what's going on? You're gonna pay more for the morgue. You're gonna pay more for maternity, which was supposed to be free at one point, right? You're gonna pay more for hospitals, parking. Let's just generally, you don't know, like if what the governor Sakaja has proposed is going to be passed. But the other thing, we all walk up to fuel, isn't it?
Yeah.
20 shillings up. And more, there's everyday tax coming. You know, right now I feel like I'm within, there used to be a musician called Jacob Luceno. I think he
Yes, I
sang
know.
a song called Likuru.
Yes,
Yeah?
yes.
So this song was about, there was a time the government had village enforcers. If you haven't paid, I don't know which money for what, they would actually come, even take your chickens in the village. And he sang a song about this. I remember it was so popular, so popular, that he wanted to, there were two people having a conversation, and somebody was saying they want to consult a witch doctor. So there was a witch doctor called Shikwekwe, and then there was Ambalua. I think the Luyas, and I think and generally anyone who was alive at that time,
Yes.
you know the song?
Yes, I know.
Would
Jacob
actually-
Luceno
Clearly,
is-
there's a big difference. Of course, you know the song.
Yes, but that's where we are. What do you think?
No, it's true. What I think is that, let me look at it in a broader perspective. The Nairobi County, the Sakaja bill for increment of parking and all this, what we call the odd tax. in
Underline
the city.
morgue and family planning.
It is.
Yeah, family planning.
Yeah.
policy.
There's also even domestic animals. There's tax even like in Nakuru to bury a cow, which is 4,000 shillings.
Wow.
There are crazy things which happens. We call them the city bylaws, have very many taxes in there. You know, you're not even allowed even to pull your suitcase in the city. You can be arrested.
So many things that we don't know of, now they're being
Okay.
enforced.
So now, what I would say is that this problem is because every year, after every 10 years, Kenya rebases its economy. When you rebase economy, it means that you expand the other sectors you want to bring in your economy so that you improve your GDP. Now, the problem we have is that by last year, Kenya had reached the 10 trillion mark in our total GDP. And they needed to push the ceiling a bit so that they can borrow more money. Is what we call, you borrow public debt vis-a-vis the GDP. So that forces us to do what we call the rebasing of the economy. When you rebase the economy, is you revise it. You bring other sectors in, you realize, you look at it and see it's expanded. The reason being that our loan repayments, we were paying around 67% of every shilling. Like in 10 shillings, you pay like 7 bob to the external, so you remain with 3 bob to budget with. So when you have like 3 bob to budget with, it means that you don't have money. So what does that mean? It means that you have to collect more taxes.
Now here's the question.
Yes.
Where do you pick, like, you see the various places that even they've selected?
Yes.
They've selected like family planning, what the other, there was even one,
Morgue.
morgues and everything. These specific areas that they pick,
Yes.
you know, they're selective, like you have to actually now choose that these are the sectors that we actually now pick and choose to tax more to actually get an income. So then now that shows maybe in our Kenyan behavior that the politicians, the leaders have seen, this is now where most Kenyans spend actively. So it's either are we dying a lot and we're doing at the same time we're producing a lot in family planning, because these are actually places you have to be of course logical. When if you want to actually tax this area, means that there's money flowing through this particular sector if that's the case.
But
The
you know what's
cases-
going to happen? You know, tax and death are for sure. Even the Bible says, the one thing that is for sure, tax and death. But what's going to happen if this thing gets out of hand? Chukwani to deal with the body.
Deal with the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If people cannot pay, just deal with the body.
You are struggling with finishing the hospital bill, and then too much for the morgue too. You go away.
You see,
Yeah,
now,
I get.
You go away. You don't need to stay there and start. You're already depressed. You've lost someone. Now you are adding another thing. You know, even family planning for people to afford that. Some people don't have the privilege.
Tutazaa na tuzae
Now
na
we will keep
tuzae.
adding them. And now
Then you have to pay more for schools, isn't it?
that's another thing.
Ah.
And now food is also high.
You pay us
Now
not to give.
STDs
So how are we
coming to play.
surviving? Survival is now the problem.
COVID
actually.
babies, so we'll have tax babies. We just,
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just
no, we said, like Mackenzie said, kime turamba.
yes.
But it is, what I'm saying is that it is okay that when you rebase the economy, it's fine. We've rebased the economy 7 times since 1957. We rebased it in 57, 67, 76, 85, 1996,
You're knowledgeable.
2014, and now this one, 2022. When we expanded the economy, they wanted to tax more people. Why you're saying, why are we taxing morgues? Why are we taxing bodies? It's because the government looks at one sector which they can get their claws in, and which they think it's easy to tax. Remember that the World Bank requests that every economy should tax 25% of their GDP. Kenya, we are taxing 18%. That means, yeah, we tax only 18%. That means that there are many other people out there. We have said this economy is organized, but you are totally disorganized.
But that 19% that's taxed is taxed heavily.
It is overtaxed.
Yes, that's
Yes.
the thing. Now you choose a streamlined specific one, then you tax it heavily, because then you now come out here and say things like, we're not even taxing you guys enough. Like even the other sectors that we still even need to
Tax.
get along to. So there also even that case scenario, even the government can now even, if you hear that narrative, that is actually what the government is telling you. That could actually be a now, because you said only 19%. It's still another like 6 or so
My
percent.
argument is that by next week it will be even worse. Remember, KRA is going to unleash.
Oh yeah.
Unleash what?
Unleash
Oh,
what?
yeah.
KRA is going to unleash guys in estates and villages. They'll just be like spies. Simon says this one, he does content creation. Does he pay? How much is it? How
See,
many
we're already
people?
being taxed. Content creators already being taxed.
No, they will tax you even more.
Already
They
being
look at Dr. C. Where does she live? Does she pay this tax? Yes. Does she have a house in the village? How many cows? You will be taxed even the animals.
But anyway, you know what the good news is? Actually, when you talk about rebasing the economy, for the longest time, I've always wondered, when we are dealing with alcohol issues,
Yes.
like in Nyeri and in all those places, I've always wondered why these people don't relate it to overtaxing of the formal market that actually is so organized and brings in the tax.
Yeah.
Because you make it so expensive and you push more people into
Out.
the informal market. So I'm happy that they're taxing the dead people, they're taxing family planning, because in the past it was so easy. Tax alcohol. These things are very cheap overseas.
But
Very
yes,
cheap, and we would be paying so much more tax when you bring everyone into the formal market. I feel, as a winemaker and therefore belonging into that industry, I feel that industry is so overtaxed that they've shot themselves in the foot and they're not getting what they would actually get because everybody has gone informal.
That's interesting that you bring in the alcohol aspect of it
Yeah.
all, because even when it comes to even alcohol, through all these taxes,
Yeah.
a lot of Kenyans are running to it. By the way,
Yes.
because many Kenyans even right now, even they said even 1 in every 20 Kenyan is indeed an alcoholic. Yes, we're out here drinking because of all these issues that we're actually getting from the government. Boy, what are we gonna do? That's the truth right now, because even a lot of Kenyans will run into alcohol, even at times will run into marijuana on the corner. Yes, you guys are also even going out there. Many college students are out here getting engaging in a lot of marijuana, even a lot of drugs and everything. Now the question I'll even ask is this: when it comes to like, it's not only because of the economic side of things. Is what is it that you could even say that we're actively seeking? Are we just a drinking nation, by the way? Are we just a drinking nation, or there's a purpose? Or do we drink with a purpose as Kenyans? Is there a reason that we're actually going out here and pursuing this escapism from the drugs and the alcohol? Is there a main reason why? Maybe you can actually start.
There could be a main reason why, because the main essence of it is those who are overdoing it because they want to forget something, or maybe they're going through something but they want to mute it with the alcohol. That is one reason. The other reason is you don't have anything to eat. A friend of yours has called you, take this so that we can go sleep and not think about our stomachs. There are so many reasons why people are engaging in it. Also, others started and they want to stop, but because rehab centers are very expensive, they don't go to it. So alcohol abuse, drug abuse, that is something that the nation is suffering because of the fact that it's hard to afford life or health at the same time. If they could afford at least one, maybe we will reduce the numbers. But they keep increasing. Considering you're this kid in college and your mom tells you the same problems you have there in school, I have them at home. How am I going to help you? And most people in college do not have that supervision of this is enough or don't do this. Sometimes they have parties every single day.
Yeah.
And when they get out of college, they don't know how to stop. Like, now it's time for me to stop this because I'm working now. They don't. And trust me.
Life hits you the reality check sometimes.
Reality kicks in when you know you have the responsibility to do ABC. Now you are out of college, you don't have a job.
Even that can make someone even drink more.
But I think, I'll tell you what I really think from these statistics. They said Western Kenya
It's the most,
they drink the most.
They
Okay?
know how to make it.
And I'll tell you that story. But the most addicts and drunkards that are beyond are in central Kenya. I'll tell you something. For me, I see it's a parenting and a taxing issue. So growing up in Western Kenya, in the village, running around in Kakamega Forest, my favorite, I think so. I had the most amazing childhood. You know, I knew how to brew. I know how to brew changa. I know how to brew busa.
Okay.
Yes, every child knew. We brew it for Christmas.
Organic, healthy.
It's very organic. It's very, and there was no mystery around alcohol. I'm not alcoholic.
Yeah.
And there are very few alcohol. We don't have any mystery around alcohol in Western Kenya. Yes, they drink. Yeah, even, you know, we have this song, we say we are Roman Catholics. Holiva Roma, but you know the song? It means we are Romans, we are Roman Catholics, and we are drunkards. It's a song that people sing in the
That's what the song is about.
That's what it's about. But we are not drunkards.
Yes,
You understand?
yes.
Yeah.
So it means so that it's about our lifestyle. We don't criminalize. I don't wait until I get into college before, and then I start, now I've gotten alcohol, now I can start drinking. You know, we normalize it. We teach our children what is normal, what is not normal about alcohol. And I wish we could all parent like that. But the more you make it mysterious, I don't know what, then people want to start to experiment. So we as a community, we know what is okay, even though there are some rogue people who start to bring in, you know, these enhancers. So what's happening in central Kenya, there's rogue business people who are putting in chemicals, and these chemicals are too addictive, and most people having been pushed from the formal drinking market because beer is too expensive. Many ordinary Kenyans cannot afford. And because they cannot afford, they are going underground. And this is what I'm saying, overtaxing beer and overtaxing these things. It doesn't help you. Just expand. Beer from the time of Jesus, alcohol was always there. And anyway, we can talk about the history of alcohol being declared illegal, those days of, you know, there's case studies that we can use.
The question I have is this: when it comes to even alcohol, you know, when sometimes they get these statistics, they say 1 in 20. How are you qualifying someone as an alcoholic rather than just a casual drinker? What do you think sometimes can statistics be skewed a little bit if then you're just saying that this person is alcoholic because I see alcohol in front of him, and now I've seen him like now, or he says that he takes alcohol. Could that be the case, or you just, how do you?
It depends on the methodology of research. This, on the contrary to the research you're talking about, which is the NACADA report, there's another report which appeared last week still, which said that in Africa, Kenya is number 15.
So who is
in
number one?
drinking. Number one.
Are they alive?
Number one is Seychelles. Number two.
It's so beautiful.
Seychelles.
And the way it's
Number
beautiful.
two,
That's a lie.
Ugandans.
What? With Konyagi.
Now Ugandans were number 2. So Kenya was number 15. We are beaten
We are
by
saints.
Zambia.
Oh my God, Hail
So
Mary.
now, this is what I was saying.
Yeah, we are saints.
No, don't celebrate. Don't celebrate too fast. I'm just saying because of the. You asked me about methodology.
Yes, go ahead.
You see now, this is what I came to realize, that Kenyans probably on drinking, they drink what Dr. C was talking about, which cannot be captured
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the methodology. Like you go to the bar and you take the bars and you say how many alcohol did you sell, and you divide it by per capita and the number of people, and you find this is higher than this. Of course, secondly also because look at the way people, if you eat well like Ugandans cannot go to the pub before they eat, then they go to drink. A Kenyan atakuuliza una form
Yes.
Hata kama ameshinda.
hata kama ana njaa.
Yeah.
So
Form ni nini?
Don't worry.
Am I usually the most clueless person on this set?
Don't worry.
so the Kenyan will tell you, Dr. C una form.
What is form?
Ask Simon.
You got a plan.
Okay.
Yeah, you
And
got
the
a
plan,
you got-
if you
yeah,
don't
got a
have,
plan.
if you are,
Yeah, got
I'll
a
give you
plan.
the plan, and the plan
Yeah,
will come with drink.
Exactly.
So now eventually the guy just says, una form and una form. Drink and go.
Yeah.
It is spontaneous. They get high probably very fast because
Yeah.
they've not eaten. So when you look at that, and others, many Kenyan young men and women also, they'd rather drink in their homes and then go to the club and then just top up just to look good that they're high.
Yes.
You see, so now when you capture, you don't capture these statistics correctly. So if you look at those factors, maybe Kenya is number 15. But if we say it in drinking, maybe we're number 3 there. And Kenyans are saying, how can we be number 15 anyway? But back to NACADA report. NACADA report is, there's an issue here. Western leads with 23.8% in alcohol drinking, but they drink traditionally brewed,
Which is quite healthy.
which is healthy, followed by Coast, and then followed by Central. But if you look at the potency of what we call a second generation alcohol, Central lead, second generation is these poisonous things. That's why many people, you've never heard from Western Kenya, women saying our men are useless in the bed. Because but you've seen in Central, in many spaces, when women have placards in Kiambu, in Muranga, these men nowadays don't touch us, oh, our men, because they are drinking poisonous stuff. And it stands at 4.1%. In Western, it's 3.2, Coast 3.1. The other one is 2.1 in Western. So if you look at the statistics, I think NACADA should have done a report which is crystallized. Crystallized and said that the effect of drug abuse must have been divided into categories. Is it alcohol, and is it the real alcohol? Alcohol per se in Western is not a problem. It may have the highest consumption, but they drink what I'll call traditional healthy brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even now, even how do they also measure marijuana? Like how many Kenyans are actually willing to say, hey, listen, I also even smoke? Or now are they going to the dealers? Tell us now your percentage of like now clients you come through. You see that? Is that logic? You see that logic? No.
They send their spies.
Okay, let's just say all this overtaxing and alcohol should take us to a break. Yes, I'm also suffering in business because of all this. I will say this for a fact. Please, instead of being an addict, go get yourself a book and read. and let me be less taxed so that I can produce more magazines because the kids are not consuming enough. Thank you so much for those who are still tuned in. We are taking a very short break and we will be right back.
New Superstay Vinyl Ink from Maybelline, New York. Shake up your long wear with no budge vinyl color. Color lock formula. Up to 16-hour wear. New Superstay Vinyl Ink, Maybelline, New York.
Welcome back. It has been hot here, the discussions, the tax issues. Kimeturamba, I'm telling you. Kimeturamba. And coupled with alcoholism, I hope you'll not be overtaxed and overdrunk and everything else. Let's get into this second part of this discussion, Dr. C. And of course, Maria. Marriage things, interesting.
Oh, marriage things.
Yes.
Okay, that's a trigger, but also this is a funny story. This is a funny and a fun story.
Yes.
So a Ugandan man marries 7 wives. Okay, the marriage is not the issue because sometimes we agree with polygamy, but on the same day, is it even possible? I'm not going to say if he provides, maybe he has the biggest land, he needed women to till it, but the time, the attention, seeing that the generation of now, we are complaining that the attention is limited. But now there's someone who goes out there and gets 7 wives within the same day. Honestly, and they say marriage is not a scam when I say it's a scam. Yeah, they say that. According to me, before I even give you a chance to speak, because I know you're triggered, please, how does he give them time and attention? That is the only thing I would like to get an answer from.
Now, when it comes to even as a man, now time and attention, first of all, that's a man who deserves credence and respect. Even when you say, maybe we could find out even his name, because he needs to be not just a man, he needs to be instilled. This was Joseph of this clan. He needs to be actually spoken to with reverence, because that guy was able to take in 7 responsibilities in his life, and those people, those ladies agreed on the same day that indeed will actually sit here and stand and agree that this man is who we're actually sticking with for the rest of our lives.
I need to see the looks, the looks first.
And the thing is, when it comes to even attention, a lady can compromise on attention when actually other things are catered for. And here's what I mean by that. Attention does not, you don't always have to be there texting left, right, and center over here. So you young 20-year-olds over here, if you're doing that, stop, watch out. No, you don't need to do all of that. What you need to do is make sure that the basics are actually catered for. The attention can now be actually given afterwards when that basis is there.
Do you know what you're forgetting?
And here's what I mean. Yeah, okay, what am I forgetting?
Do you know what you're forgetting?
Yeah.
There are 7 women. So
That's
it's
okay.
1 per day. So meaning...
1 per day?
Yeah, there's 7.
Okay, here's what I mean. 1 per day in the sense that you can actually take your time and show attention to you in the first morning hours. In the afternoon, I'm having supper with someone else. And there are ways to allocate these responsibilities. And what you're forgetting the fact is, these are sound-minded women making a choice that they have actually agreed to stand there and say, I do. They
did 7 times.
I do 7 times. I don't know, that was maybe 5. But yes, but that was the case. And now, don't undermine their intelligence. Even as a fellow lady, don't undermine their intelligence and actually now saying that they're making a foolish decision. They're making a very wise decision. I don't have to deal with so many men. I only have to deal with one. Even him, I only have to deal with him all the days. I just have to deal with him once a week.
Trigger. A lady's perspective, please.
So first of all, this guy, I went to dig deeper, and he's a faith healer. Mackenzie, anybody?
Faith
I think
healer?
he's a faith healer.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means you trust your way into healing. And he arrived in that village as a faith healer. Now, don't forget, there are people who actually walked into, what is that place, Chakahola?
Yes.
With their faith. You know, you fast your way into whatever until you meet your maker. I think this is a cult.
Yes.
It's a cult, number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, much as in many parts of Western Kenya, from the Wanga, Nabongo, Mumia area, there's no girl who wants to be married as a first wife. Most girls They'd rather be fifth or sixth because they know this man is going to marry anyway, and the wives actually bring the other women for the husband. It's a very organized something that is done. The fact that these are 7 women who are just same age mates, I think it's a cult. Can these, even though they say the villagers were so happy, how he's brought fame to them, how he's, you know, done all that. But ideally, in this day and age, I know of somebody who has 2 wives. He will never, ever, like, go beyond a certain level of material possession because, oh, this wife has this, the other one wants that. Until this guy is living beyond his own means. Yeah, you're taking the children where even mine need to go there, mine need to go there. It's a very stupid thing because he's really living beyond his means, and it's very, very sad to see.
If he's a faith healer,
So, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, go ahead.
In the last days, the Holy Book says
No.
that 7 women will come to one man and say, "Let us be your wife."
So we are in the last days.
So we are in the last days.
I'm coming to that. In the last days, the Holy Bible says,
And those 7
and I'm
women will come
to the man and say,
on the same day.
it doesn't matter. The Bible does not specify the day, but it says.
So the
on
man used
last
the Bible.
days, 7. But
This is an, sorry, CEO, this is a new perspective. I think it's a cult. You've just
Yeah,
confirmed.
you've confirmed.
let me
This
finish.
is
Let
7
me finish.
women.
Wait.
He used the Bible
The
to lure them.
Bible, yes.
listen,
They are
the
part of
point.
the Bible.
We get
Yeah.
you. Okay, relax for a second.
I speak?
Let's
Yes,
go ahead.
please, go ahead.
Come on now. Let's go.
You've confirmed the existence of a
Yeah.
cult.
Let's go.
for me, I look at the environment where this man comes from. It's in the villages in Uganda. The modernity is different levels of the modernity in this world. In some areas of this world, marrying 2, 3, 4 wives, it's okay. It's okay in the fact that it helps you, and even the school fees Dr. C is talking about is the city types like us who have a problem with. Remember, I've said in this show, and not only today, that I'm pro-polygamy in Africa. I support polygamy 100%. For one,
And you have 1 wife.
Yes.
Alafu nadanganya
Alafu
watu
nadanganya
wengine.
as long as you can fend for them, you can feed and take care of your family.
Simon wanted to
This
tell you as long
man
as you can
has
bear.
said that these 7 women came and he's married them on the same day. It is not that, the way Simon says, it is not that this man lied to them or did it in hiding. It was a big ceremony, a village ceremony. These women, let's not underestimate them. They know what they're doing. They really know. They're mature. They're older women. They know. You cannot be married 7 of you. If you've decided you are not jealous, first of all, for you to be married as a sex. And then this thing Maria is saying at your time, in African setting, time for what? Time is when you sit down, you come all together, sit. The man has his own house. If I need to be intimate with you,
I'll choose you.
I'll choose you.
Oh, no.
I agree with
Anyway.
you. Even I'll go even further. I would even say, just even speaking on behalf of you, why is it that fellow women are the ones who are even castigating these other women instead of empowering them? Like, these are empowered women who have made a cognitive decision. for
No, you
themselves.
wouldn't say it's
And-
cognitive.
It's not cognitive.
The number
is that-
7.
Wait, no, why are you? Here's the problem. Why are
If
you?
he is a
no,
faith healer, it's
no,
not
here's
cognitive.
here's the thing.
Yes.
Why are you assuming so many things about these women and actually now even saying that they are not even making? That means they have no brains to actually now.
But-
But also, I also even go further, even supporting that. As these women even are there and even being celebrated, and having a whole ceremony, it was not only that day. Weddings have plans in several. It takes
Yes.
time for even
Because
for
everybody
this
is
day to
under the
actualize.
spell.
Everybody.
Shakahola existed for how long? Anyway, you know what? I see the producer saying we need to move to the next story. This guy is contributing to diversity.
Yes.
And I think in Africa we really need diversity. Just coming back home, our vice president, Gashagwa,
Oh,
Rigiji.
See that?
deputy president.
whatever. You know me, I've logged out. The deputy president, he was Rigiji.
Yes.
He was quoted as having said that Kenya is a circle. You either have shares, and if you don't have shares, you're out. Okay? It's a circle with shares. And meaning development, how the money in development will be shared, positions in government, whatever. And it's true, studies have shown 2 tribes are occupying most of the public institutions, most of the government institutions, and it's not a secret. And even in Zimbabwe, is it the vice president or the president? Yeah, who apparently rigged himself in, also appointed his niece to a position, appointed. It's
Well,
just
you're talking about the crocodile.
yes,
Mnangangangwa.
whatever. It's just is this just an African problem? Do we need, like, what are your thoughts? Like,
First of all, Mr. Rigiji, the deputy president, the honest man. By the way, just the other day, on Thursday of this week, he was in Colombia during the coffee summit, and he said that he invited Colombians to Kenya, and he said Kenya has lions, elephants, and tigers.
Tigers are where?
He
Tigers are
was
where?
describing the animal orphanage.
Oh,
Yes.
the animal orphanage.
And tigers. So Mr. Rigiji is an honest man. I admire him for speaking what others can't speak. The truth is that Rigiji is just saying that in this country, the earlier presidents or earlier leaders have always developed their own areas, which is a fact. And that's why we came with a new constitution, and we said, let's have 47 counties, which will help us transfer and develop our regions, which has helped us a lot. Because initially before 2010, the president would actually punish a community, and the Luo community had been punished. And let me give you an example. I always like to take this thing on a historical perspective. In 1963, Kenya gets independence. Jaramogi and President Kenyatta lead the nation. 1965, Jaramogi and Kenyatta fall out. It becomes a vicious fallout that Kenyatta is actually stone-pelted in Kisumu during the opening of Russia Hospital. In 1968, Tom Mboya is killed. The enmity gets even deeper. By that time, 75, J.M. Kariuki comes and says that we are creating a society of 1 million millionaires and millions of peasants. He's killed. So what happens is that in this whole thing, the government decides to start developing a certain people. So they pick on, if you are on the right side of the government, you are helped. The Luo Nyanza, as it was, it becomes totally neglected for all those years until multipartism. The people from there are no roads, there are no everything. So now, Gachagua is basing his ideology of what has been Kenyan mind. For a very long time, it is not new that even now when Dr. C says that 2 communities, it is there, it is a public record that 2 communities enjoy the must state appointments in the country.
But just because you speak truth doesn't mean that you are correct. And
Yes,
that's what I mean.
yes,
And
yes.
you can
Correct.
actually, and even what makes it even
Correct.
worse is this. You can say something and yet you're a leader who can actually activate to change that wrong.
Yes.
And the fact that you may applaud him to be the honest person
Truthful.
And,
He's
truthful,
just saying
yeah,
what there
to me,
is.
it's quote unquote truth.
Yeah, but
It
you see,
doesn't-
truth is according to your perspective.
You can actually speak that truth as a form to clothe your bad behavior.
Yes.
In the sense that, yes, I'm speaking this truth. Yes, I cheated on you, nini, but does that make this behavior good and then
Correct.
should this relationship continue?
Yes.
And yet I have the ability to stop this bad behavior. So yes, you are the deputy president, and you have said that indeed the country is a circle, or even the shareholders. I think you said shareholders.
Shareholders,
right?
yes.
Yes. Shareholders. It does not necessarily mean that you should continue this behavior. And just because you're quote unquote coming out here and saying, I am being honest, I'm just speaking the truth.
Truthful
And
man.
I'm being a truth for me. No, You're clothing your irresponsible behavior and actually continuing bad behavior and saying that this is indeed the way things should actually continue. Because I'm just speaking truth. What do you think?
Yeah, very true. Actually, whatever he's saying, he's now in power. He's part of the power. Can he do anything about it? Or he's just saying and naming because it has been happening? Does he have the shares himself? Because he is Rigiji, he's the deputy president. We expect him to at least tell us that, this is how it was, now we are changing it. But up to now, we are still complaining about the same issues, same situation, yet he is in power saying the truth.
So you see, what you're saying is correct, because, and why I say truthful men, and I mean in jest. You see, when I say truthful,
now you're adjusting.
Yes.
Yeah, how much truth is in there?
it's just because if you say you are truthful and you say you have shares, the presidency is, when you're elected you're not elected to the president, you're elected to the office of the presidency, which is the president and the deputy president, which is the symbol of national unity, is a symbol of the whole country. So for him to come from that level of elevation to the level of saying that is a shareholding, and you say you are the truthful men here, then there's a misnomer there. You are not actually realizing, you do not hold your position in the regard where it's supposed to be. Because nationally, the presidency is for all Kenyans. It is not for an area where you come from. And then these other people, the MPs, can actually deal with these issues. And I was saying that in the 1960s, many Luos actually lost their jobs. And that's how they moved into Juakali. This Juakali thing. That's why you go to Nyeri and you find an Otieno who is a mechanic, because they couldn't be employed in government. If you go to Isiolo, you'll find our Onyango. That's why 90% of the Juakali sector is a Luo economy. Because when the fallout between Kenyatta and Jaramogi, all the Luos who were in government offices, first they were not employed and they were kicked out. They had the high skill set. So they set all the Juakali centers in the whole of this country. If you go to Mandera today, you'll find a Luo welder.
You've taken ownership of that trade.
Especially mechanics.
But I thought because they are
Mechanics,
so
especially.
actually skilled. But anyway, let me chime in on that. So tiring. But you know what? Rigijis, honestly, so tiring.
What's tiring about it? Being honest.
Very tiring in the sense that I don't even know as a nation how we got here. But Rigiji's claim to fame is not because he was the best orator.
Okay, good point.
He never, in this country, we have to acknowledge, you need money to campaign. You need, and after that, it's hoped that this national cake at a certain level is going to be shared, okay? So if you didn't contribute to the elections, all over the world, don't expect that you're going to be getting all this money. There are shareholders, actually, who gave 100 million, how many billions, what, and we've all read about it. And he's just being honest, But we have to understand that was not his claim to fame, being an orator. But on the other hand, I think the world has been treated to, let's move from Kenya, we go to the United States. One of the things I loved about the debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump would shoot and say as is, in the way that people wanted to hear, not even wanted to hear, in the way that it is. There's no gold, sugarcoating, nothing. And here, Hillary Clinton would sit there and say, obviously, there's a public opinion and a private opinion. And for me, someone who was watching, not even voting, just watching, I felt she's hiding so much. And so many governments are hiding so much in this private opinion business that they are not telling us as is. And that's why we are saying when it comes to taxes, just tell us. Tell us the government is a circle. You did not contribute and we need money to pay the circle or whatever it is. Just tell us what it is and we will understand. So that even when it comes to next election, we know what to do. And now you realize the Americans had a taste of Donald Trump because he says it as is. And that's why, the Republicans, they are just behind him like that.
I get you, but there's a much more dynamics when it comes to Donald Trump and other things. But even when it comes to now, tell us and say it as it is.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing to think that the government would do.
They are never
but
doing
that's
it.
a good thing that you can think the government would do, but that will never happen because the government has its own agendas, even its own goals and intentions. The government would never, even every Kenyan you know, the government would never really tell you the truth. Even you never see the truth, all of it in the news. You will see a perception and a narrative that is painted for you to get an for you just to get understanding of what's happening around you. So why are the food prices going up? You just be told it's taxes. But really, why are these taxes being added? Now those are the questions that you're frustrated about, and that's why you're wondering what is this relationship that we've gotten into when it comes to even Kenya.
But you know another thing is that they never tell us the truth. But why do we believe that when they are campaigning, whatever they're telling us is the truth?
The truth, yes.
Because whatever they're telling us, people who voted, they were sure. The previous governments have never given us this. Now, these ones will give us this. So, when they're campaigning, they told us the lies. We believed them because we thought they were the truth. Why do we expect the truth when they're in power? In fact, right now, they should hide and keep quiet, and then we wait until the next time for someone else to lie to us. Because it's like power is so addictive to a point that you forget humanity when you step there.
Because you take it, you take power.
Before you take
You're not
power.
given
It's not a
power.
lie.
Yeah.
It's a perception of the truth.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you a lie. I just need to give you a perception of the truth that you can actually swallow. So the government will only give you as much information as they see credits to. They will not ever lie to you like blatantly, like tell you over the lie. It was just a perception of the truth.
But also remember, guys, Kenyans, they went to school.
Yes.
When President William Ruto was saying hii serikali itakuwa ya mama mboga, were they blind? Because we were cheated
But we were ready to try out
We were ready
anything.
to try out Mama Mboga life to be easier. We were ready to try. By the
Even though there are books written about these lessons everywhere.
People would take
That-
and study the way, everything they were told. Some people even went deep to study it. Like, will this be possible? Because I feel like most of the people who were told and believed that it would be possible, some of them did not go deep and ask themselves, how is this going to be possible? They did not. Because whatever we are told, that is the Bible truth. They are going to do it. And they even had the procedures. But they never mentioned that taxes will go high. They never mentioned that your payslip will be cut and cut and cut all the time. Those were the things we needed to hear. We will take the taxes high so that Mama Mboga will have an easy life. We will take the taxes high so that this and this will happen. Or the fuel will go high so that your life can be easier. No, because whatever they told us was not the truth. So that right now we are living that lie and the reality of the lie.
You know what I like about this show today is that the middle class are very unhappy now, which we've always wanted it to come to that position.
I don't know why I feel like you should call me rich.
Character development.
I don't know why I feel like you should call me.
Did you eat last night?
I did. I won't lie. I did.
So you're a middle class.
Are
So
you
many
serious?
people.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a standard.
Do you have a place
Are
to
you
live? You're
serious?
middle class.
You're
You're not
middle class.
hustler.
Wait, no.
No, I'm
that's the
saying
standard
I would wish to
way.
Yeah,
call
you're
me
not
rich.
hustler.
Yeah.
That's a standard.
Yes.
Yes.
The standard is
If you have a place where you lived,
You can eat 3
you
meals a
ate
day.
yesterday, you're not sick in hospital, and you cannot. It's like you cannot afford your whatever. You're rich,
So Mambo ni
and
Masaka.
you're mambo
Yes,
nimekata.
Mambo ni Masaka. I want, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
I want us to move on to the next topic.
Go ahead.
Clearly, this tax thing, it reminds me of 1789 when the French Revolution happened. King Louis 15.
You are alive.
I read a lot.
The French Revolution, yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
When the middle class got so annoyed
Yes.
because the taxes were being increased all the time until they said enough. That's why you say the bourgeois is in French. That's
The
when-
bourgeois.
The bourgeois.
Bourgeois.
Yes, that's what happened. The landowners, the poor people, were being taxed over and over again to sustain these guys, and then that revolution happened in 1789. We call it the French Revolution of 1789. But now let's move to other things.
We can also talk about the
I
King
want to talk about
Richard,
the question. Yeah, it confused me. I want to go
the
somewhere with
peasant
this.
revolution
I want to
in
go somewhere with this.
London.
I want to go somewhere with that.
I know.
I was waiting for
I do
it.
not want to go.
Oh,
I'm
deep,
not asking
okay.
you guys to
You're
get
just
into that.
stating.
I'm just stating.
Yes.
And I leave it there.
that
Good.
history is
Just
full
leave it
of,
right there.
Of
and whoever does not learn history We'll have to live it to
and
learn
this
it.
will happen. And I'm not saying.
Okay.
I'm not saying.
Okay. Oh, you're not
History is
saying,
full
but
of
you're saying.
examples. King Richard, even my daughter knows, who is 10 years, she knows that even until the security people refused to help King Richard,
Yes.
because even they were being taxed,
Yes.
they refused, so they let the peasants in. And this was happening in London.
But now here's the thing. What is it that you think that we Kenyans will now trigger us to now take?
We are not saying anything. We are just saying history is full of
Let's
examples.
wait for taxes to continue going.
Yeah.
we
We are waiting for the trigger.
The Zacchaeus might come down from there.
Okay, sir.
And mingle with the
Bible
rest
and
of us.
mingle with the rest of us.
Okay.
And when you mingle, you might have dinner together. And he might return tenfold of what he has taken from you.
Who is
The
that
Holy
person with
Bible
the
says
disciples
that.
who is going to say that, to tell him to come down?
The
I'm waiting
Bible-
for the person with the disciples to tell him come down.
Remember, the Zacchaeus might see the spirit of Jesus and come down.
Let's
have
pray
a moment of
harder.
realization.
Yes.
Okay, that's
And one-on-one, the transfixion.
We are praying.
You must pray for him.
Yeah, we are praying.
Anyway,
But yes.
there's this incident which happened, I think, a few days ago. In a nanny was mauled by dogs in this great republic, and I do not know whether Dr. C, what is your take about this thing and the compensation, the court case, and maybe give us a bit of background of it.
So apparently, I read that it was something circulating on Tuko. It did happen apparently in my neighborhood on Milima Road. It's a very leafy, beautiful, beautiful road.
Sarenia.
So apparently the nanny was walking this child. It was a play date. See, in Karen, everybody's living on their big land. And so if your child has to play, it's like playing chess. You have to organize with that family and take your child. And it's honestly. So this was a play date that was organized, and the child was being walked into this other family. And apparently when they arrived, this particular couple that had invited in the home where this nanny had been invited to take the child, there were some killer dogs that started to maul them. Under what circumstances, I do not know. They started to maul these, and this nanny grabbed the child, held the child up like this so that to protect the child, not to be eaten up by the dogs, and in the process she was being eaten up everywhere. So when she couldn't hold anymore, crying for help, she fell down to protect the child, her employer's child, and the dogs continued to maul this child, this worker, the lady. So just from what I saw written online, so the lady was taken to hospital, her employer took her to hospital, and she was treated, and then they got her a plastic surgeon who was treated and all that. So apparently this lady's complaint is that the owners of these killer dogs have shown a lot of inhumanity. They've never visited her to even say sorry, not contributed to her medical bills, yeah, completely ignored her. And then even when it comes to, so his employer who did that, who took her to hospital and everything. Then she's undergoing all these mental torture, apparently, from her people. Her husband has left her because they're like, under what circumstances did you get mauled by dogs? Were you having some kind of pornography with the dogs? Actually, that's what is being told to her, apparently. And now, apparently, her husband has left her. She's become a laughing stock, and she feels that she was not treated well. She feels her human rights have not been considered. And this other family, apparently it's a family of means, because from the petition, it looks like they're living on a really big piece of land, which is very newly built home, whatever. And she's like, you need to compensate me.
How much
for
is she asking for?
She's asking, from the court paper, she's asking for 80 million
Kenyan shillings?
Kenyan shillings.
Okay.
Some people think, so the question is, what are people basing on asking some of these things? Yeah?
I think the best, actually being honest, that's the best tactic. The tactic is to do this. Hit a high figure and allow negotiations to go down. Literally, that's the tactic you always do. you always hit the high figure. That's not the figure that you may actually dwell on. It may come down to 60, may even come down to 10, maybe you come down to 5. But if you start at 5, you're going to end up at 100,000. So even you start at a high figure and you work your way down on that sort of thing. Even when you mention about even the owners even escaping responsibility and now like it's a little bit, that shows a human nature, a very interesting human nature in the sense that accountability part of it all. You run away from a scenario in which you can actually be accused of. And hence, you don't even want to show any form of guilt or any responsibility. Hence, you just even abscond the duties like, okay, cool, we're taking a hospital bill, we've done a bare minimum, we don't need to do more.
No, they didn't even take care of the hospital bill.
They didn't take care of the hospital bill?
No.
But okay, we took you to the hospital. So
No, they didn't.
Who took you to the hospital?
The employer.
The employer.
Oh, the employer now.
Whose child had been saved.
Yeah.
Oh.
Remember, they were walking
Yes,
to
exactly.
this compound.
So okay, yeah, it's even the absconding duties, that could also be a big issue. That's the reason why even people would even just avoiding. You want to avoid it and everything. But she says 80 million, even I would have gone to 100. Then you'd allow them to go shit down. And you say emotional issues, mental stability. You can even charge even you lost your marriage. Then you even charge even the hospital bill, which I'm sure is not cheap.
How do they base it? This is how judges come to conclusion of a figure and even lawyers. First of all, they look at the number of years you have and how many years you'd have worked. So they say, for example, it's 25, 26, your retirement age is 70, they calculate by putting inflation and all these things in place, and the salary increment you'd have gotten, they multiply it and they say probably you'd have gotten 20 or 30 million. And then they come to say, how much money have you used on medication and treatment? Then look at how much would you have lost mentally in stress and all those things you might need.
How can you quantify stress?
Now that it's
mental treatment. That's what they look at.
Yes.
How did it cost you?
Cool.
How to treat you of all this. They add all those things together and then they come to a round figure of about 80 million. So it is a progressive way of looking. And they also look backwards. Even if that reward, let's say today, you are awarded 10 million and you are paid 10 years later, they put it in equivalent of what was the treasury bond like at that time. They look at the way the government floats treasury bonds, how much you did have earned. If it's 80 million in 10 years and it was treasury bond, how much you did have earned? It did 100, 800 million. So that's how you see some people are awarded some heavy, crazy figures, because a case might have happened in 1965 and it is mature now. At that time, probably the guy was asking for 2 million. Now, that guy will be paid 200 million.
But now over what period of time?
Yes.
See, now there's also the other thing, like you can be awarded 80 million, but we're going to stretch it over a long period of time, so you only see over.
No, it's the lawyers who mismanage
I
that.
feel like I should now divert from the financial side of it. I will look at the owners of the dogs who did nothing. I think on that lady feeling that they neglected her,
Yes.
and everything, they would have done something.
Yeah.
They would have made an effort. Remember, this lady was so selfless and saved a child's life. And now the owners of the dog are so selfish that they can't even make an effort of visiting the hospital. The simple things. I visited you in the hospital. How much is the bill? Let me foot in. Okay, the employer's child would have been eaten, but now this girl saved the life. Me and the employer, can we sit down and see how we can help this girl? She's lost her marriage. We still don't care. I feel like the biggest inhumane people are the owners of the dogs, because the employer did a lot. She did a lot, and even if she was being grateful, of which she is so grateful, I'm sure, wherever she is, but she did so much. These other people who own the dog should have at least made a simple effort, the simplest. Before we even come to the 80 million, I feel the mental factor of this lady, or the emotional part whereby she feels so neglected, is much bigger than even the 80 million that people we are talking about, the figure being arrived at. Yeah.
And on that note, number one, I think this case has been taken up by Anjarwal Khan, who are one of the biggest litigation lawyers, and on pro bono basis. So it's not like without any basis. I don't think they will take up a case there is not. But just a moment of education for Kenyans who may be watching, and as a vet, number one, if you're bitten by a dog and you have to go to hospital, obviously, then you have to go to court. Obviously, there's things to do with rabies and all that, and ensuring that even as a dog owner, your certificates are clean.
Yeah.
The other thing, if you are bitten by a dog, the burden of proof is on you to prove that the dog that bit you belongs to the person you're accusing. You can be awarded whatever it is you're awarded, but if you cannot prove those dogs belong to the people you have accused, so make sure if anything like that happens, go back and collect your evidence that this is your dog. That this dog belongs to, CEO belongs to the one that beat me. Otherwise, you can be awarded and it will never be paid. That's it, folks.
Also, we
That's
think
it on that.
dogs should
It's
also
been
have
real.
DNA so that we can confirm.
It's been real.
On that biting note.
But
Not biting note.
On that
Yeah,
biting
that's why
note.
I said you close. That's it.
Hey, you're
Short, closed.
There it is.
Well, it has been a very, very big experience. We discussed very many topics.
Especially
Of
taxes.
course, taxes,
Wow. Wow.
Zakayas, Kimeturamba,
Whoa.
and the truthful men Rigiji has told us about shares, and of course alcoholism, and our superhero, the man who married 7 women.
The man, the legend.
Not
The
superhero.
And Dr. C has closed it for us.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Let's be real.
Let's
It's
be
been
real.
real. That's it.